Lord our God, King of the universe. We give you all glory and honor. Thank you for this time. Thank you for keeping us. And Father, even as we go into this Parsha, Father, give us ears to hear what it is that you're saying to us. For it is a precious moment in time. And regardless of what others may say, we know that you've ordained everything that is occurring, Father. And that, Father, it is our desire to fulfill what it is you would have us do, Father. And Father, I pray that every person receive what it is that you're saying through this Parsha to us tonight. In your holy name we pray. Amen. Amen. And amen. So I want to back off of the Parsha just for a moment. And I want to give you a big picture. And then we're going to zoom into the Parsha and talk about the Parsha. Okay? So, get ready to take some notes. We do have some things that we're going to put up here. We're going to start on the right side of the board. And then we're going to put some stuff on the left side of the board. Okay? If we look at the book of Genesis, just the book itself, okay? There is essentially 4 parts to the book of Genesis, or Bereshit. Okay? And that's what we're going to put on the right side of the board. Part 1. Don't go me. Part 1 is the primeval history. Primeval history. And I want you to write it just the way she's putting it up here. Part 1. Primeval. That's P-R. Write it big enough that they can see it. Part 1. Primeval history. P-R-I-M-E-V-A-L. History. And when we're talking about the book of Bereshit, that is from chapter 1, verse 1, 1 and 1, through 11 and 32. 1 through 11 and 32. This is the history of mankind. Okay? Every religion in the world contains these 2 stories. The 2 stories that are covered here is the creation story and the flood story. Every society has a creation story and a flood story. So this belongs to man. This is also where we get a lot of our legends. Okay? Fallen angels, giants, all of that comes from this period of time. Okay? The second one, part 2. Go down a little further. So on my sheet of paper, I have 13 lines between part 1 and part 2. 13 lines. Part 2, Abraham. Okay, this is from Genesis chapter 12, verse 1, or Bereshit 12:1, through 25:18. 12:1 through 25:18. We have the story of Abraham. Part 3. On the 6th line after Abraham, I have part 3. And that's Yaakov, or Jacob. So Jacob's story is in chapter 25, verse 19 through 36. and 43. Now slash it, and he reappears in chapter 37 through 50. Do you understand that? His story is a broken story. 37. 37. So again, Yaakov starts at chapter 25, verse 19, goes through chapter 36 and 43. His story breaks, and it resumes in chapter 37, and goes to the end of Genesis, chapter 50. The fourth and final part, you can just put this down at the bottom of your page. Part 4 is Joseph, or Yosef. And that's chapter 37 and 1 through 50 and 26. Essentially, every scholar, Christian, Jewish, all agree that this is the basic structure of Bereshit. Okay? Now, I want to take you back to some stuff that we've studied, and I'm going to give you highlights. But before I do that, I want to ask you something. Who are the patriarchs of the nation of Israel? Abraham, Isaac,
Jacob.
and Jacob. Notice, Isaac is not in one of these parts.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because the story of Isaac is embedded into the story of Abraham.
And Jacob's story wouldn't exist without Isaac.
He is the bridge between the two. He is actually a minor character as far as when we look at the layout of Scripture. And even within telling his story, he's a minor character. However, he's a very important character. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But before we do that, I wanted to go on this left side over here and start at the primeval. We have Adam and Chava. Adam and Chava.
Is that number 1?
There's not a number at all. It's just at the top. Adam and Chava. Or in English, Eve. Okay? Go ahead and put the Hebrew up there for both of those. You can put it off to the side. Adam. Adam and Chava. They're at the very beginning, primeval history. So that's Aleph, Dalet, Mem, Sophit for Adam. Aleph, Dalet, Mem, Sophit. Chava is Hey, Chet, excuse me, Chet, Vav, Hey. Chet, Vav, Hey. Rabbi has already taught you how to do the numbers and all of that. That's not my focus tonight. We come down from them 10 generations. So draw you a line. On my page, I've got it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got it about 5. If you wrote Chava and Adam, the Hebrew under it, 6 lines. 6 lines down. The 10th generation is Noah. Noah, right? Noah. That's noon. Hey. Hey. Noah. So, Rabbi gave us what all these 10 generations mean. Remember that? Okay. After Noah, Noah has 3 sons. Japheth, Shem, and Ham. Japheth, Shem, and Ham. Japheth, Shem, and Ham. Now I'm giving you the broad picture of the genealogy. Right there, baby. Japheth, Shem, and Ham. Where? So Yod. Yod, Hey, Tav. For Japheth. Yes. Maybe a hay. Looks like a Tav. A hay. Thank you.
Bugs.
Shem, Shem, Yom Sophie, Shem, Yom Sophie, and then Ham. Okay, that's Hey, Yom Sophie. 2 years after the flood, Shem has his first son. However, when we look at the text, it lists his first son as his 3rd son. Yes. So, commentators will always say the 3rd son of Shem, but he's actually the firstborn son.
The 3rd son.
Yes.
You say that again?
Okay. Let me give you the text so you'll understand what I'm saying. Turn to Genesis chapter 10, verse 24. Huh? 10:24. Are you there? Genesis chapter 10, verse 24. In fact, let's start at 21. The sons of Shem, Elam, Asher, and Azarphad, and Lud, and Amram. The 3rd born son, right here. See that? Do you see it? Now turn to Genesis chapter 11. Genesis chapter 11, verse 10. 11 and then 10, it says, these are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100-year-old and begot who? Azaraphat 2 years after the flood.
My husband just put
I lost you. I don't even know.
Aquashat.
Yes, it's spelled different ways in different places. Some spells it with an X, some spell it with a Z, some spell it with a SH, whatever. Okay? So this was actually his firstborn son, though he's listed 3rd. I don't know. Okay? So under Shem, we're going to put this name. So you go ahead and put his name, and I'll spell it in Hebrew once Beth puts it up there. Yours may be translated differently than the way she's spelling it. Just use your translation. Zarephath. It's spelled in Hebrew, Aleph, Resh, Pei, what's the backward C? Kaf? Kaf, Kaf, Shin, Dal. Now, from him, counting Shem all the way to Abraham is 10 generations. So, from Zarephath down, the next generation I want you to look at is Avraham. Avraham. Or Abram. Okay? And Sarah. Before him, the 9th generation is his father, Terah. Do Terah first. Terah. T-E-R-A-H.
From who? From Shem?
From Zarephath down, the 9th generation will be Terah. The 10th generation, Abraham and Sarah. Okay? Terah is spelled in Hebrew, Tet, Resh, Hey. Tet. Tav, I'm sorry, Tav. Honest mistake. Tav, Resh, Hey. Then you have Avram and Sarah. Sarai, thank you, Rabbi. At this juncture, his name is Avram, not Abraham. So, at this juncture, the spelling of his name is Aleph, Beit, Resh, Mem Sofi. Aleph, Beit, Resh, Mem Sofi. Sarai, Shin, Resh, Yod. From here, we have Isaac and Rebekah. Isaac is spelled Yod, Vav. Vav, Ain, right here.
It's not a lot.
Oh, Yod, I'm sorry. Yod, Zadi, Hey, no, Chet, and Kuf. Or Kaf. Kuf. It's Kuf. Yes. And Rebecca. Resh, Beit, Kuf, Hey. And then from Isaac comes our story today. Yaakov and Esau. Because she's writing it so large, you shouldn't be down in Joseph. You should be up. All of this should actually be meeting right before Yaakov. Rebecca. Esau. So in truth, the way she's got it, you'd have to take part 4 off and move Jacob down. And then Joseph would be off the board. Okay? Now, this is where we're at. Rebecca. Rebecca and Isaac. Okay? This is where our Parsha picks up today. So, everybody got this? Yes?
Yes.
Erase all of it. That's our introduction. Okay? Our Parsha today is Parsha Toldot 1.6. 1.6. Toldot. T-O-L-D-D-O-T. There are 4 ways to spell this. T-O-L-E, no, E-D-O-T. D-O-T. D, no, O, E-D. E-D.
That's the only one wrong.
O-T. This is one of 4 ways to spell Toldot. Toldot means generations. Generations. And it comes from the root word Lad. That's V-A-L-A-D. To spell that in Hebrew, that is Yod. No, Vav. Yeah, Yod. Yod, Lamed, Dalet. Vlad means to bear, bring forth, or to beget. Bear or bring forth. So that's what Toldot means. Generations. So what generations are we reading about today? The generations of Isaac. Okay? That's where we're at today. Toldot starts in chapter 25, verse 19, and proceeds all the way to 28, 1 through 9. So let's go to the chapter 25. Chapter 25. And 19. And these are the generations of Esau, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. Okay? When we look at Isaac, as I said before, Isaac's story is embedded into the story of Abraham. In fact, the rabbis say that Isaac looked just like Abraham. Okay, Torah doesn't say that, but the rabbis say that. I want us to understand something before we go any further. Because Isaac is the second father of the nation. When we say that there are patriarchs, we're talking about 3 patriarchs, 3 fathers. Father Abraham, Father Isaac, Father Jacob. Okay? He's the second father. What we've got to understand is that the nation carries the characteristics of all 3 fathers. Listen to what I'm saying. The nation carries the characteristics of all 3 fathers. Now, I want you to want you to turn to Deuteronomy just for a second. Deuteronomy. I want you to turn to chapter 32 of Deuteronomy. Starting at verse 7 through 12. I'm sorry, hold on. What did I say? Deuteronomy chapter 32.
Chapter 7, verse 7.
Look at verse 8. Well, let's start at 6. It says, Do you not requite the Lord, O foolish people and unwise? Is not thy father that hath gotten thee? Had he not made thee and established you? Now this is Moses talking to the children of Israel before they go into the promised land. But look at what he says. Remember the days of old. He's talking about where we're talking about right now in Genesis. He says, remember the days of old. Consider the years of many, what? Toldot, generations. Ask thy father, and he would declare unto thee, thine elders, and they will tell thee. Verse 8. When the Most High gave the nations their inheritance, when he separated the children of men, he set the borders of the people according to the numbers of the children of Israel. The children of Israel was not even born when the other nations were created. If you go back through the genealogies, you will see that Japheth had his children, Ham had his children, way before Abraham and Isaac came on the scene. Genesis chapter 10. In English and in the church, they call it the Table of Nations. It's where the nations come from. So, even though the nations came before Israel, God laid out their borders based on the inheritance of Israel. Remember this. It says it right here, verse 8. Let's read it again. When the Most High gave the nations their inheritance, when he separated the children of men, he set the borders of the peoples according to the number of the children of Israel. It makes no sense logically. Let's go back to our Torah portion. Genesis chapter 25. Isaac when we look at Isaac is a very meek man. He's very gentle. And in fact, in his story is almost a very passive story. Everything that happens in his life, he is redoing what his father did. He redigs the wells. He rebuilds altars. He redoes the things that his father has done. Okay? I know this may surprise you, but he was the gentler side of Abraham. He was the gentler side of Abraham. Abraham was a man of war. Isaac never went to war. Okay? So, Isaac would almost be, in today's time, considered really feminine. He was very gentle. Why? Because he sacrificed himself. We always look at the Akedah as a trial of Abraham, but it was really his trial too. The rabbis say that he was between the ages of 37 and 38 years old when the binding of Isaac took place. I want to take you to that scene for a moment, because he's 37, 38 years old, somewhere in there. His father is 100. Do you really think his father picked him up and put him on an altar? No. He had to climb up on the altar himself.
Just like baptism.
Okay?
Or mikvah, I should say.
Yeah. So, the rabbis say that Isaac became even more gentle after that. He was gentle before, but after his sacrifice, he became more gentle. Now, I want to back it up a little bit. Because when we talk about Isaac, Isaac was the first miracle baby. So the nation of Israel is a miracle nation. God actually intervened into all of mankind to birth this child. He broke all laws of nature to bring in Isaac. Okay? And we'll see this repeat. The rabbis say that the lives of the fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, is a precursor to the life of the nation. So everything that the nation goes through, the fathers have gone through. Without a miracle birth, okay, there could be no Israel. Okay? Now, I want to show you something. Now let's look at his children. Before we do that, he married a woman by the name of Rivka. She was the daughter, right here. I want you to look at this. Genesis 25:20. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean of Pandam Aram, the sister of Laban, the Aramean, to be his wife. He took his cousin. He took his cousin. Okay? Now, if we had time, I could break all of this down and show you some very amazing stuff. But, let me do this. Put it up here. Put Torah. I want to show you something real quick. Okay. So Terah is the father. He has 3 sons. Abraham, Abram. Hold on. Let me find it. Hold on. I'm sorry, guys. Let me find my notes. Okay. Terah has Abraham, Nahor. No, it's not Abraham. It's Abram. Hold on. Abram, Nahor, N-A, H-O-R. And Haran, H-A-R-A-N. Okay? Haran is the eldest. He dies. Before he dies, he gives the birth to 3 children. Lot being one of them. Okay? The next one is Milcah. Haran has a child by the name of Lot. Lot is the nephew. The second is Milcah. M-I-L-C-A-H. And then the other one, I'll spell it. I-S-C-A-H. Milcah is the wife of Nahor. Draw a line from Milcah to Nahor. He took his niece to be his wife. Yes. From this marriage comes Rebekah. From Milcah and Nahor comes Rebekah. Yes, just go down and go Rebekah. Actually, there is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 children born out of that marriage.
How many? 8?
8.
You've seen 7 brothers and sisters.
And Rebekah's father is Bethuel, who is the son of Nahor and Milcah. So above Rebekah's name, put Bethuel.
Below Rebecca.
No, above it.
What about it?
E-L. So Nahor marries Milcah. His son's name is Bethuel, and Bethuel births Rebekah.
What?
Rebekah is Isaac's wife.
Wait. Huh? They're cousins? What?
Is it 2 S's or 2 A's? The verse that we just read bears this out. Rebekah is the daughter of Milcah, our granddaughter, Nahor marries Milcah. Milcah has a child by the name of Bethuel. Bethuel births Rebekah. Rebekah is married to Isaac. He marries his cousin. This is what we was reading about all last week. This is what Rabbi was just talking about. The whole Abraham saying, go to my people and bring a woman from my people. Don't allow him to marry a Canaanite. There is a special, I'm telling you, there is some special stuff going on with the women in this side of the family. Okay?
Okay.
So Rebekah is Isaac's cousin. We clear?
Yes.
It's right there. You read it all the time and have no clue because you've never taken the time to map it out. But I just mapped it for you. Very abbreviated map. Okay? That's where we're at. You got it? Okay.
Got it.
Oh, by the way, Rebecca's brother, Laban. Put Laban. L-A-B-A-N. Which Jacob will become servant to. His uncle. This is why Rabbi has said you have to study the genealogy. Because you're reading it and not seeing it. This is what's going on. Do we understand this? You're as clear as mud? Mud's more clear? Do you understand it? Okay. Any questions on this? Still laying groundwork. Now, let's go back to our text. So Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean of Paddan Aram, the sister of Laban, the Aramean, to be his wife. So we see Laban and Rebekah, brother and sister. Right? Now listen to what happens. Verse 21 says, write down in verse 20, says Isaac was how old? 40 years old. Wait a minute. When was he offered?
37?
37 or 38. So 3 years later, he's married. 3 years. Okay? Now listen to what I'm about to say. It says, then Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord himself entreated him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. Second miracle. Isaac himself is a miracle baby. Now these twins. Now, here's what you've got to understand. These are called firstborn twins. Firstborn twins. Firstborn twins. In the ancient Near East, when a woman birthed a set of twins, they were both considered firstborns. Firstborn twins.
Until?
In some cultures, because of the inheritance rights, in some cultures, they would choose one baby and kill the other.
Oh.
Okay? So you have, again, now you got a double thing going on here. You have a miracle of another barren woman, but she's having firstborn twins. So, Isaac is a miracle. These twins are miracles. But look. And the Lord, verse 22, and the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, wherefore do I live? And she went to inquire of the Lord. The Torah text does not tell us where she goes. The rabbis have many traditions. She may have gone, according to the rabbis, to Ebner and inquired this. The text doesn't say it, the rabbis say it. However, what I want you to notice, what's important to me here, is Rebekah is the first one we see of the matriarchs that petition God directly. Sarah never petitioned God directly. Rebekah does. Okay? Then the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in your womb. The 2 peoples are to be separated from your bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. Pay close attention to this. Because this struggle in the womb is the struggle we see now. Or one of the struggles. Okay? Notice what it says. There are two peoples to be separated from your bowels. And the people shall be stronger than the other, and one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. It says, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. I'm just going to throw this out there. Take it for whatever. If it goes over your head, don't worry about it. If it hits you in the face, it's cool. Rebecca had 3 souls. Three souls.
It would be hers and the son, the son who did it.
Each of the 2 sons. She had 3 souls in her. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. The first came out forth ruddy, or red, all over like a hairy mantle. They called his name Esau. Okay? And after that came forth his brother, and his hand had hold of Esau's heel, and his name was Jacob, or Yaakov. And Isaac was 60 years old when she bore them. Listen to what I'm saying. They got married when he was 40. Sometime after that 40th year, he prayed for her, and it was 60 before that prayer was answered. 20 years. 20 years. Okay? And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Yaakov was a quiet man dwelling in the tents. Okay. I want you to hold that spot in your Bible, and I want you to turn to Genesis chapter 29, verse 7. 29, verse 7. If we look at verse 1, we know that this is Jacob. But in verse 7 it says, and he said, lo, it is yet high day, neither is it time that the cattle should be gathered together. Water ye the sheep, and go and feed them. When it says that he was a man of the tents, the rabbi says that means that he was a man of Torah. It's not what the Torah teaches. The Torah teaches that a man of the tent means that he was a shepherd. So if we look at our verse, it's saying that Esau is a man of the field, chasing wild animals, and Jacob is a man, a shepherd, taking care of domesticated animals. Their personalities are exactly like that. Esau is always pursuing stuff. Yaakov is always a quiet, demeanored man. One thing I got to say about Isaac before I forgot to say is that after his sacrifice, after he was sacrificed, it is as though he becomes more elevated in spirituality. He becomes really a man that is elevated. And so the way he sees the world is much different. Okay? Yaakov was that man. He was calm. He was quiet, and he was always thinking about spiritual things. Esau, his brother, was always chasing stuff. He was always on the go, out in the field, going. Okay? Now, today, ask any Jew who Esau is, and they will say that Esau is the Christian church.
Sure, I could live with that.
Yeah, and neither am I.
Okay? You go to any Jew and say, Edom is doing damage. And they will know that you're talking about the Christian church. Okay?
Cool. Nice code word.
In fact, in the Talmud, this is where this comes in at. Because Edom in Hebrew sounds like Rome. So in the Talmud, when they were writing about Rome, they would use Edom's name.
Roman Empire.
The Roman Empire, which is the Roman Catholic Church.
Why don't you have Beth draw a Resh and a Dalet?
Okay? Listen to what I'm saying. Okay? Rome is Edom.
Agreed.
Rome is Christianity.
Agreed.
Yep.
Okay? Now, about 9 years ago, 10 years ago, I came out of the Christian church. At that time, it was reported that there were 134,000 different Christian denominations.
That's a new number.
134,000.
That's a new number to me.
Okay? Out of that 134,000, every one of them believes that they are the one, and everybody else is wrong. Out of that 134,000 denominations, only one keeps Shabbat. Only one. Okay? So, the thing is the Christian church is divided amongst itself. Because you go to an evangelical and say, hey, you come out of the Catholic Church. No. Mm-mm. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did.
Go to the Jehovah's Witnesses. Tell them you came out of the Catholic Church. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. All 134,000 denominations comes from the Catholic Church.
But Catholic.
Evangelicals, Presbyterians, Lutherans, you name it, it has Christian after it. It all comes from the Catholic Church.
Yep.
Enough said. Okay? Here, we have two men that are polar opposites. And there is an actual principle in Judaism that they both represent, in which I just gave you. One is always chasing stuff, and the other one is always pursuing spiritual things. Polar opposites. Okay? Now let me show you something. How do I know that Jacob was always thinking about spiritual things? Because the next part of the story shows you. Let's look at 25, 29. And Jacob sowed pottage, and Esau came in from the field, and he was faint. So where was Jacob? He was in the tent. What was he doing? He was providing sustenance to his family. What was Esau doing? Out in the field chasing something. Okay? I know what the rabbis say here. Not bringing that in here. Going to the next verse. Then Esau said to Jacob, "Let me swallow, I pray thee, some of this red pottage, for I am faint." Therefore his name is called Edom. If you read this in Hebrew, there is a 4-word play on red. Esau's name is red, then red, and it says pottage. It's the word that is translated pottage is red, and it's red again, so it's doubled, red. So we don't know really what it is. We call it lentils, we call it stew, but the text doesn't tell us. It just says red, whatever it was. And he says, "For I am faint," and because of this they called him Edom. It is the red eating red that he becomes known as red. Okay? Now, it says, and Jacob said, "Sell me your birthright." Wait a minute. You're the man that's providing substance to your family, and your brother who's out there chasing whatever he's chasing out in the field comes in and says, "I'm hungry," and you're not going to provide substance to him. He buys the birthright. Everybody says he stole it. He did not steal it. Look at what he says. He said, and Esau said to Jacob, "Let me swallow, I pray thee, some of this red pottage, for I am faint." Therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, "Sell me first your birthright." Esau said, "Behold, I'm to the point of death. What shall the birthright profit do for me?" And he said, "Swear to me first." And he swore to him. And he sold his birthright to Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage. So he gave him the red, and he gave him bread with it. So he went above and beyond. He asked him for bread, whatever the red is, and he gave him bread too. He gave him both. A righteous man. You know what? I like this deal so much, I'm going to throw in some bread. Okay?
The biggest deal ever.
Okay? Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink and rose up and went his way. So Esau despised his birthright. So when we say that Jacob stole the birthright, we are siding with Esau. Because it is Esau who says that he stole the birthright. When right here we see that there was an open negotiation in which he sold it. He sold his birthright. It was not stolen from him. Okay? So, let's move on. Chapter 26. There was a famine in the land. Let's see, 26 and 1. And there was a famine in the land beside the first famine in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went to Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. Am I right? Is that where we're at? Okay. Here, here we see Isaac as a man of prominence in the land. Okay? Because he, like his father, wants to go to Egypt. But look at what God says to him. Look at verse 2. It says, "And the Lord appeared unto him and said, Do not go into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with you. I will bless thee, for unto thee and to thy seed I will give all these lands, and I will establish the oath which I swore unto Abraham your father. And I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven, and I will give them unto thy seeds all these lands, and by thy seed shall the nations of the earth bless themselves, because that Abraham hearkened unto my voice and kept my charge, my commands, my statutes, and my laws." Okay, here is some very powerful stuff. Okay? Remember, 2 weeks ago we talked about the 7 blessings? Does this not sound like the 7 blessings? They're exactly the same words. The only contingency on these words is his contingency is you have to stay in the land. For Abraham, he had to leave his parents' land and get to the land. For Isaac, he had to remain in the land to get the covenant promises. Okay? Notice he says he will multiply his seed as the stars of heaven. He will give him all these lands. All the nations on the earth will be blessed because of his seed. Isn't that what was said to Abraham?
Yes.
We see the covenant being transferred. Abraham is dead. Isaac is the next in line. He is reassuring him of this covenant. Okay? Now, and then also notice what he says in 26 and 5. Because that Abraham hath hearkened to my voice, and kept my charge, my commands, my statutes, and my laws. Now there's something very interesting here, because there's 4 things that are listed here, but we don't know what these 4 things are. We just know that whatever these 4 things are, Abraham did them. My charge, my commands, my statutes, my laws. He kept them all. So, if we go back and look at the 10 trials, what was the pattern? God spoke, Abraham acted, God then either blessed him or gave him some type of promise or some type of blessing. So in everything that God commanded him, we see nothing but obedience, obedience, obedience. He acts on what God says. Isaac is married into this. Okay? He's married into this. He's just like Abraham. Okay? And he said, you get this because Abraham hearkened to my voice. It wasn't because you crawled up on the altar. It was because of your father you're getting this. You hear what I'm saying? And Isaac dwelled in Gerar. And what did he do? Skip down to 18. And Isaac digged again the wells of water which they had dug in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them up. I looked it up. There are only 3 wells that are mentioned by name. There seems to be more wells, but there's only 3 that are mentioned by name. 2 of them are dug by Abraham in Bathsheba. Okay? And both of them have covenant names. Both of those wells are named after God. Okay? Right here, he digs another well. And it says, and the Philistines stopped them up after the death of Abraham, and he called their names after the names which his father had called them. And Isaac's servants digged in the valley and found there was a well of living water. And the herdsmen of Gerar strove with Isaac's herdsmen, saying, the water is ours. And he called the name of the well Esek, because they contended with him. They digged another well, and they strove for that one also. He called the name of that one Seneth. And he removed from thence, and Seneth is a very interesting word. Yes. And he removed from thence and digged another well, for they strove not, and he called the name of it Rehoboth. And he said, for now the Lord hath made room for us, we shall be fruitful in the land. Notice, it is his third well that he dug. And it was his well, not one that his father dug. Okay? This is the one that Abimelech comes and cut covenant with him. Okay? And then, what?
What is the meaning of the word?
I'm not talking about that right now.
Cassell is what you said, right?
And look at verse 25. And he built an altar there and called upon the name of the Lord and pitched his tent there. And Isaac's servant digged a well. Abimelech comes to him because he knows that he is Abraham's son and that he follows after the God of Abraham. Okay? Now, any questions in any of this?
What was the word?
Satan.
Okay, thank you.
It's Satan. Okay?
Okay, so I don't know if, well, it's not really a question, but I'm just thinking, well, if you run into any information on this, but so many different gods around there, they recognize the God of Abraham, but yet they do not convert it.
No.
Yet Abraham does not go and try to convert them either.
No.
So is that why in Judaism today they don't try to convert people? It's been
Yeah, no. Judaism does not believe in evangelism.
but it's since
Yeah.
since
And it's still something that they struggle with. People that want to come and join the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they still struggle with that to this very day. It's always been a struggle. Okay? Now, we're going to get to the good stuff now. Y'all want to take a break? All right, let's take a break.
I thought we were already in the good.
All right.